I feel like 7's a fine age. That's a weird clip to take out of context, but
Yeah. 7 is a great age.
7 is a great age.
Hey guys, this is the editor Connor, also the green text that you saw earlier in the video. Wanted to clarify some things before we get into the episode. My co-host Josh and I recorded this in person, meaning we just recorded the audio and no video. So you'll be hearing us discuss the topics with random stock footage like this space video in the background for now. Next episode though, and so forth, will be recorded, so you'll get to see all of us. Timestamps are in the description if you'd like to skip to certain topics. Anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode.
Hey guys, welcome to the JCPennyless Podcast. This is your host Josh and Connor.
Hey guys.
Today, our first episode, we're gonna have our special guest Cole out, Anderson from WSU.
I'm gonna get DDoSed.
Yeah. A brief, background of all of us is we're all WSU students. And yeah, we don't want to share our background too much because we want to spread out content for the rest of the series. Mm-hmm. So, I guess get ready for our first topic. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Great intro. I really enjoyed it. It was natural.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
So our first topic is, me and Josh talked about this earlier, is thoughts on cursing and how would you raise your kids with either cursing or swearing in a household?
Mm.
Can I hear you guys takes on it?
Oh yeah. I think we were talking about it yesterday's. I think obviously you don't notice it how much you actually curse in your actual everyday life. I guess one thing is we were talking about was when we start cursing, you kind of seem unintelligent to some people, and I don't want to start using that as filler words because I know it means kind of you're not able to express how you're feeling, and I think one big thing is obviously there's a filter. So for example, if I'm if I'm raising kids and stuff, obviously I'm not gonna curse in front of them, but there definitely is a time or place because I feel if once I hear them curse, I'm gonna be yeah, we don't want to hear that, but then I'm gonna be I'm gonna be a hypocrite and then also curse out of my own thing. So I think that's one big thing.
I'm kind of half and half. It's kind of I wouldn't mind them cursing, but I would set a standard for it. Certain scenarios would be acceptable. If you hurt yourself. I think swearing, reduces pain in some instances.
Oh, yeah,
increases pain tolerance over the years.
Yeah, I don't know if that's, truly scientific or something.
I
don't know what kind of study that was.
Yeah.
But, because it is really hard to not swear, especially if it's in your vernacular for so long.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to break that.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
Intellectual.
Yeah, that's good.
Multi-college over here.
Yeah.
And then you talked about yesterday, using, swear filler words.
Yeah.
Swear words, but then, what's the point of doing that? You might as well just say the word at some point.
Yeah. I think
it just sounds kind of silly.
Fork or something for instead of,
But then you, deliberately do it, often.
Butts.
So, you're essentially just swearing as much as if you were using the word anyway.
Yeah, because I understand, I am in that, what you said, that middle ground where it's, I don't want you to start cursing every sentence, because it does sound a little, if that's all their only vocabulary, then okay, that's just, we need to work on that. But if it's also, hey, I cannot, you're not given the access to, use these words, then it's almost I was not saying limit yourself, but, you do seem it does come off a little weird when you're the only guy who says fork or shirt or something like that. I'm okay, it is a little okay.
Well, if you overuse it, it does give you the background of, I know I had some friends who were very, devout Christians growing up, and so they had to say, funny filler words for swear words.
Yeah.
And so, hearing fudge when you get, punched in the face is kind of funny. But once you hear, 80 times a day, and it's just fudge, it makes them seem silly to a certain point. And so I understand some parents where they want to, be hey, I don't want you to say the word at all. Here's my compromise. I think it should come down to, people are going to cuss. People are going to swear. Make, the ideal that you can cuss and swear after you've shown that you are able to correctly articulate yourself beforehand. And it's very much, when you're growing up, a lot of parents are do as I say, not what as I do.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to hear your parents swear. I know we've all been through that. But it's definitely maybe just as a parent, accept that they're going to swear and just ease them into it. Being too strict about it or shutting them down from an early age is just going to make them want to do even more.
For sure.
Especially if you're like hypocritical about it and like, then your kids could see you as hypocritical with other things. Like they'll try to look for certain instances where your things don't line up or you're just contradicting yourself.
Yeah. Just, I don't know, be more, show them the reason why you don't want them to swear. Because just telling them it's a bad word almost gives like...
You don't give any meaning behind it.
No, it's just like, ooh, it's like a sin or something fun to do. It's a rule breaker where all I get scolded is for saying a word. Yeah. It's a real easy
like
line
temptation
across.
kind of thing. For
and
sure.
it unironically wants to make them do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just more. It's almost like a temptation, like ideal. Yeah. Where it's all I have to say is one word and it's a ooh.
Yeah, because we're all like curious to see like what happens when we say it.
Yeah. What happens if I say this word around my parents? Am I going to get beaten? Is the slipper flying across the room? Yeah. Will I hear another language?
Those are funny. I remember like as a kid though. Like, one big thing was, like, video games. Like, when I was playing video games, especially hearing other people, dude, like, to get them back, obviously, I'd swear back. But it's like, dang, like, I'd be saying swear words that just don't make any sense. And you kind of just, like, at that point, you're just cussing. It just sounds horrible.
There's a wide variety of swear words that you can combine.
Oh, yeah.
To make new ones.
And they're beautiful.
And they're beautiful.
Personal favorite is shit fuck.
Okay. Shit. I like that one, yeah. Yeah.
There's some other ones.
And there's some other ones. There's some that
I like fuck stick.
like, where it combines an actual word and then the swear word. Yeah. What was it? Was it punch a dick?
I don't know if I heard that one.
Who said that? Like, is it punch it like stinky? Like,
pungent.
Like,
oh,
like
dang.
Punching a dick. I thought
no, sorry. My English is horrible.
No, you're good.
But I like dumb stuff like that. Like that, getting creative with it is interesting. But it's, at this point, we've all been raised around Asian or even like white standards of swearing, where we have to like not say as much. And so now that we have the freedom to do so, I'd argue that we are at the liberty to do it a lot. But this is because we also know the right time and place to do it. Yeah. Because we were raised in the aspect of knowing when to
put on that filter and stuff.
Yeah, we're not going to be I'm not going to be at work saying, shit. You know,
definitely.
like it's
a time and place.
Yeah. It's a time and place. And I think that's the biggest thing about raising a child with cuss words. Yeah. Teaching them time and place. Yeah. And showing them the consequences of those words is the biggest thing they can teach. Because at the end of the day, they're just words.
For sure.
And if someone's always going to get hurt by some words, but you can limit them a little.
Yeah.
At the same time,
we're gonna move on to our second topic. I don't know how to transition.
No, you're good. I mean, like that's why I try to bring video games. Like speaking of video games.
Well, yeah. I mean, with cuss words, let's talk about video games a little. Like, how much?
What you got on this?
How much did you get away with swearing in video games?
Oh, I think a lot.
Video games? Like, dude, I'd be whispering.
That's where it, I remember the first time I ever messaged "fuck you" to someone. I thought I was gonna get banned because I was like 10, and it was like during the Halo Reach days. I was on the Xbox 360. Yeah. I don't know what he did. He just pissed me off, so I just said "fuck you," and then I blocked him because I thought he was gonna like report me and I was gonna go to jail or something.
Something like that.
Jail. BXR. Well, he probably BXR'd you.
Probably.
I think the biggest thing for me was when I was growing up, I didn't really play online games until Modern Warfare 2. So that's when I was playing those lobbies.
That's still a rough one to jump into.
Those ones, like, dang, like, I was better than some of these kids, but, like, dude, like, or these older dudes, but, like, because I was, like, what, like, 11, 12? But, dang, like, these guys were, like, sailors, dude. They're just swearing everything. Like, you kill them, you hear, like, the hot mic, or after the game, or each round, you just cussing each other out, and I'm like, I can't be saying this, because if I do, I'm going to get in trouble, because my parents are just, like, I'm playing downstairs. My parents are just in the kitchen, so I'm like, I'm going to get in trouble if I do anything. But then when they're not there, oh my gosh, I lit a flu. That thing was horrible.
Do Do you think that, like, gaming environment back then is changed from now? Like, or do you think it's still there?
Like that toxicity kind of thing?
Toxicity, and then, like, just kind of, like, how people play with each other, in a way.
Uh-huh.
Like, how games are designed for other people to interact and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I think back then it was just easier to make friends, I guess, on Xbox. Like, or maybe that was just because I was a kid, maybe. But
like
before there, like, I didn't have any friends on that, like, or what I have, I had PS3. So I didn't really have any friends, so the only friends I had were the people that were on my team, and then eventually we started playing games with each other, so, hey, we're friends, because now it's not necessarily that I don't make friends, I'm always in a party with you guys anyway, so, like, I already have friends beforehand, so I don't really want to play the game unless I'm playing with friends already.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's just, I don't know, playing by myself is kind of not as fun as it was before. So I think just because having those, like, you know, connections during the game makes it more fun, just because then we could talk about it afterwards or something like that.
I feel like there's no need to try and make friends, especially in today's games.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's either toxic or just no one cares, or everybody's muted, or everybody has their own party that they're involved in.
That is a big thing. Everyone doesn't really, like, no one has their mic in just to talk to their people. They either just mute everyone or already in a party by themselves, and it's like, I do kind of miss the ability to make friends back in the day, but it definitely, like, there's just so many weird people online for sure.
Might be a thing with just growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if, like, younger audiences find that, like, have that issue with making new friends, because they might just find other, you know, younger people to play with as well.
I think it kind of comes down to we're a lot older now.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're younger, we didn't know better. And so I think we made friends through, like, mistakes online, like, things that I wouldn't do now. Like going into Roblox servers and, like, talking to random people on there. That's a fast way to make friends, or make a friend that you really shouldn't make a friend with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think it really depends. Like, now we're not going to be going on and talking to, like, Ninja Sword 45 on Roblox.
Yeah.
It seems cool. You know? Because
Cool.
it's, if we wanted to, like, outreach our community or find a friend to play with, we usually have our friends already in real life.
Yeah.
Or through mutual friends that we can play with already.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it just kind of conspired where, unless you are, like, I know that I was at one point where all my friends are on Discord and we play around the world. Unless you're like that, where you made that, like, online friends already, a lot of people play with their, quote-unquote, IRL friends now. And so it's a little different.
I think that's also a big thing was, back in the day, video games weren't, I would say, as popular, I would say. Like, it would almost seem, like, not nerdy, but, you know, people, like, video games were either hard to access, or, like, not easy to access, or just certain people weren't interested in it. Because I feel like nowadays, like, for example, like, Fortnite, like, that thing was worldwide. Everyone played that game. Like, everyone's at least played it a couple times. But, like, no one ever played Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, or something like that, like, when they grew up. Like, not a lot of people. So I think that's one thing as well, is we had not as many people playing it, so the only way to make friends was to make the friends that you were playing with, I guess, already there.
Yeah. I think everything now is so interconnected with, like, what you said. You don't have to go to video game, like, multiplayer to find friends.
Yeah.
With similar interest in the game that you're playing. Like, you can just go on, like, a Reddit forum or Discord, like you mentioned earlier, and just find people who play that game as well.
There's even, like, looking for group posts and stuff. Like,
I get the looking for group posts.
I hate that on Xbox. So.
It's not bad. For Siege, like, it actually was okay.
For Siege, but that was, like,
Siege
2018 Siege. I remember where I could do that every once in a while, but I would rarely go to Siege without, like, my brothers or a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I solo kill. I think all three of us.
Connor did that a bunch.
Solo killing. That's an experience.
A waste of my time.
Claude tried talking me into playing Siege with them today.
Really?
Oh, I just stayed on Destiny.
Nice. Yeah. Claude is Koala's brother. For anyone that doesn't know.
He's definitely related.
Yeah.
We should move past that topic. That could be
that's a future one for sure.
That's a different subject. We can talk about siblings another day.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, to relate to that, do you think we talked about this because we obviously were brainstorming ideas. Do you think your brother is a low context or a high context kind of person?
Like on the autism scale?
No. So for example, like, you know, like those people that, hey, we're gonna go, like right now, like we're going to Connor's house to do a podcast. My mom, okay. My dad, hey, what are you guys gonna do? Or what do you mean podcast? Blah, blah, blah. Like kind of those things where they want to know more information compared to someone who's just like, already kind of.
Or just like
we can start with ourselves. Like, we don't have to start with your brother.
Oh, yeah. Let's use Claw.
Okay, yeah.
So just from my experience, Claw in his middle school ages, that was when he was high ODD, ADD, all that. You know?
Okay, yeah.
Like super.
All
like,
the acronyms, yeah.
Had to tap 4 times to get out of the door. Like super like uptight, long hair, covered his face, covered his whole head.
Okay.
The Claw I know now and through high school, he's very much. He likes to press my buttons, but he is a low context. I'd say all 3 of us are very much like, hey, you want to just go do this? We'll go do it. Unless it's something where it requires quote unquote work, like going to Costco or shopping,
yeah,
stuff like that.
Like
If it's something that we know we would remotely enjoy, it wouldn't be a hard concept for us to go and do.
Okay.
Like if I told Claude right now, hey, you want to go, I don't know, go grab coffee, or you want to go play video games, or you want to go do some dumb shit, like you want to go to the pool, more than likely it'll be a yes.
Okay.
It's very. I think all 3 of us are low context brothers, where we can very much, depending on the circumstance, because you gotta factor in a person who's asking, because you could have a person ask you that something you want to do, but it's not something you want to go with.
Yeah.
So you gotta ask those high context questions to see if you can get a way out of it. Or if it's something you want to do.
Yeah.
Because if it's something you don't want to do, then you're asking those questions because you're finding that escape route.
Okay.
Yeah. That's at least from my experience and my family's experience.
So high context could equal an escape for people in some instances.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Like people may tend to be higher context if they don't want to, if they're like more introverted.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
You guys can watch that when you guys ask me to do like certain stuff.
Yeah.
And if I start asking like a bunch of questions, that's when I'm like,
I got you. That makes sense.
Noted.
I don't know. I don't even know where to put myself on that like scale. I just
because it fluctuates.
Yeah, I definitely think it just depends on the person. Like, there's people where like, hey, like, you want to hang out? With just depending on the person, yeah, of course, like we could do anything. But then there's someone where it's like, hey, you want to hang out? I kind of, maybe not, or like, what are we doing? Or something like that. And it's like, not that I don't want to hang out with them, it's just, there's just certain people, you know.
If you're trying to maybe hang out with someone or do something with someone and they don't reciprocate that energy back to you.
Okay.
Do you think that's, they're just busy? And then I've also heard the excuse, like, people aren't busy. They just don't set enough time for you, or they don't prioritize you enough to make time for you.
Is like the quote, if they truly wanted you or loved you,
they would or something like that. Yeah, they make that for you.
If they could, they would.
Yeah.
See, I don't know if I believe in that one, just because, like, for example, like today, like, we were planning on doing this at 7, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not, I didn't be late because I just couldn't set or I didn't want to put in the effort. It was just, hey, my dad came home, I don't see him that much, and then also we're going to see my cousin who, you know, I'm only going to see her once until May, so I was like, okay.
Like, things come up.
Yeah, and I was okay, like,
and that, in context, that's family.
Yeah,
and that's...
I didn't think about that, by the way.
No, you're good. You're good.
He thought about how we came 4 hours late to a scheduled podcast.
Yeah, and that's not like the thing I want to like. Yeah, I think they just let life happen. Things happen, but yeah, I definitely can't say that if they would. Like, I wouldn't do that just because, you know, not everyone is gonna, you know, they don't just because like they value that you, doesn't mean they're also gonna, you know, like was it through heaven and earth kind of thing for that?
Yeah.
Like, it's just not
kind of like drop everything.
Yeah.
To make time.
because like they also have their own life as well,
Yeah.
dealing with their own problems, and
Mhm.
it's not that they don't care for you. It's just some of the things come up as well.
Yeah.
And it really depends. Like, it's... I don't know if you guys have, like, that one friend that's... Like, a lot of people like them, and they're very popular, and so it's difficult for them to even fit you in the schedule.
Mm.
And so it's very much understand, like... Social standings the right terminology for that?
That's
For-
a good one. Social standings.
Social standings? Because
Yeah.
there's,
It's
like...
It's like the MySpace top 8.
That's an interesting.
That is...
Wow.
Back to that.
wow.
Alrighty.
Connor,
Not that
whoa, that's a, you know...
The same concept, though.
It's the same concept. No, I do agree.
Snapchat best friends. There you go.
Snapchat best friends.
To make it more
up to
modern
date.
for you guys.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so it's just, people are busy. People, and sometimes, like, I know, especially when it comes to hanging out with friends sometimes, if they're not really close, like, in distance, sometimes it's difficult to go see them.
Yeah.
Like, when Dom used to live in my neighborhood, we used to just walk over to his house. You would drive over. I would literally just walk to his house. We see each other all the time. Now you guys live, what, like 3 blocks away?
Mm.
My ass is always working, and not that we don't see each other. I still see you almost every day. I see Dom almost every day. We just don't hang out as much, and that's just because we're busy.
Yeah.
The relationship hasn't changed at all. We just got busier. It's
Yeah.
not that we're not priorities to each other. We still try to make plans for each other and try to hang out.
Mm.
We party a decent amount, I will say that.
Yeah.
But it does, life does get busy. But I think it does come down, when we do get busy, every once in a while just saying like a text or saying like a reminder to like at least send a text or like be like, hey, you still matter to me. I'm sorry we haven't hanged out, or I'm sorry we haven't talked. I love you. That just keeps your relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do understand the priority that what you're saying about that, but we're getting to the stage where you're graduating college, you're going to go into the working, you're in college, multiple colleges or one college, a college.
You're in college, right?
You're in college.
One of them. One of
Yeah.
the
You're
three
one of
that
them.
transferred from.
But you're in college, you're busy, and you have a relationship as well. You have a lot on your plate.
Yeah.
You just got that job. Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats on that.
Unemployed
yes, sir.
now.
Secretary.
No more JCPennyless. Moving on.
Yeah, we got dimes real quick.
We'll get the dimes eventually. I
Yeah.
hope. But everyone has their responsibilities.
Yeah.
And like from where the islands we are, we have a kuleana to our family, to our friends, and to ourself. And so that responsibility kind of just lands upon us. And so it gets busy.
Definitely.
Not that we don't love the people around us or love our friends. It just, we get busy.
I relate to that because there was this like thing one of my professors talked to me about where the way they explained it was we all have, for example, spoons. We all have maybe 10 spoons for the day. When I hang out with someone, that's already 1 spoon gone. And then I do something else. I go to work, maybe that's 3 spoons or 4 spoons gone. I go to the gym, that's 2 spoons. I play video games, that's 2 more spoons. I have 1 spoon left for the day, and now I got to figure out, hey, what do I want to use it on? Because I have 1 left. But it's either I hang out with my mom or hang out with my brother, and that's just an example. But I might be only have enough energy to actually really use 1 spoon for my mom. Not that I don't want to hang out with my brother, but it's just like I have to figure out, hey, what can I do and what fits best with that, So I think definitely like we're definitely all getting busier, and it's just it's like I'm happy to see everyone grow, but it's also like, dang, like I don't know, like not sad, but it's definitely interesting to see where we're all going,
Mm-hmm. That's a good philosophy with the spoons.
Uh-huh.
I'd be stacking up on my spoons. I don't go anywhere. I stay in my house and do nothing.
Like 150 spoons.
I mean, but it also comes down to like, how much energy do we have left?
That's true.
Yeah.
I think you guys see me go through like 3 energy cans a day. Like, energy, like...
I'm starting to drink coffee.
Oh, let's
wow.
get it. Adult over here.
Adulting.
We're at once a week right now. Every
What's
time I go to
nice?
church, I get a coffee.
Nice.
So,
Is that like because it's early in the morning?
it's free.
Oh, okay. I mean, I guess that counts.
I mean, it's a start. It's a start.
Yeah.
I personally, I can't say that I'm not going to do coffee because I said I wasn't going to drink energy drinks, and here we are.
Yeah.
It's currently 11:40 p.m. and he's drinking a range.
It's only, what,
Smart.
how many milligrams of caffeine?
300.
Holy. I should have grabbed the Red Bull.
That's enough to
it's enough.
I'm gonna be up at Josh. If you hear me up at 7.
God.
Yeah, I think that's also why your spoons are a little kind of muffled right now, just because
you don't have spoons. You have forks and knives and bowls and other utensils.
I try my best. I work like 30 hours a week.
Definitely.
I'm a full-time student
as well.
Yeah, and I got 8 a.m.s, and I'm still trying to make time to play with you guys at night and go to the gym and try to get laid and shit like that.
What was that last part?
The sex.
Oh, okay, yeah. I got
Speaking of sex,
where are you gonna transition?
I'm curious about this. So, I didn't really have the quote unquote birds and the bees talk until after my parents found out that I lost my virginity.
Okay.
Like it was after the fact. Like Kona found a condom underneath my bed when we were cleaning and moving houses, and so I had that talk after the fact. Like, I had known of sex, but I never got to sit down like, son. So the dick goes in,
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Don't worry, I wasn't going to detail. We're in a PG setting so far.
I don't know, we said some stuff right.
We said fuck sick earlier.
Yeah.
That was a talk about our favorite curse words. So it's just, we aren't talking favorite sex positions yet. So I am curious, like, at what age do you guys want for your kids, like, what do you think is acceptable age for the sit down?
Like 7.
Is it like in a serious context?
Like in a serious context, I feel like they're competent enough to understand how men and women relate to each other, or men and men, or women and women. So they might be curious about where kids come from, like how the hell were they born? I mean, they might have an existential crisis at like 7, but I feel like for me, is a perfect time to teach them about it in a way that's like they're not awkwardly thinking about it like in puberty stages, like 10 and 11 and 12, where their hormones are like
through the roof.
Crazy. Their brain they're just fucking with the hormones. But I think 7 is like they're still innocent enough, but they're able to understand. And I think with the way that me and Anna could raise our child, I feel like 7's a fine age. That's a weird clip to take out of context, but
7 is a great age.
7 is a great age.
Let's go. It's our first clip.
But I do think that is. So is that what 5th grade going to 6th grade?
7? No, 7's like second grade.
Holy, I'm sorry.
It's like 3 years before they're supposed to teach it. So they teach it in 5th grade.
I don't think I'm not going to touch the subject to like 5th grade.
Oh, okay.
The only problem I see is it's teaching them that early is they might like talk to their friends about and classmates about it, and then
you're gonna get in trouble.
You just start a bomb effect with all the other parents because all their kids are so curious about what's sex, and they just start asking them. So that could be a problem.
I think for me, I don't think it has to be like, hey, one talk and that's all the information is gone right there. Because I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna explain to a 7-year-old, like. There's certain details of it, so I think it's sort of a thing you kind of have to gradually explain. Like, hey, if they ever ask the question, I'll answer. I'll answer it, but I don't need to go over the top with the detail on it. But then I think
just give it how it is.
Yeah, but I think as they grow older, like, hey, for example, like maybe 7th, 8th grade, like there's those times where like, hey, like I do start, like at that point I'm starting to look at girls and hey, like I like them, so I think that was one thing is hey, like kind of talking to them and kind of explaining
why things jiggle and why things don't.
Maybe, not necessarily that aspect, but more
I didn't mean like in the body. I meant like sorry.
Yeah, but like, hey, like, why do I feel this way, or why am I having these feelings? And it's like, hey, you are going through puberty. You're becoming like, you're starting to become an adult, and that's a big thing. And then, hey, maybe when they start getting high school, they start hearing things from their friends, and obviously they're going to hear it just because high school is, high school. Explaining, hey, like, as much as like, hey, I can't stop you from doing whatever you're going to do, just because I know, like personally, I didn't do anything in high school like that, but I know people who have, and I can't stop you. The only thing I can do is do my best to protect you with the information I can give you. So, for example, like,
aware of it.
Yeah.
So instead of like sheltering them, giving them the knowledge that they need, like maybe not need to know, but giving them the knowledge, so that if the situation ever arises, they do have some contextual clues or some clues already. A follow-up question for this: would you do this Because I know a lot of people, like my youngest brother, Kona, he started having girlfriends in like 5th grade.
Hey.
And they'd just be in our apartment building. Or like, there was like 7 of them at one point. But do you start doing that when they start, like, talking to their, like, male or female counterpart?
I think the first part of that is you have to establish a relationship with your child to the point where they trust you and they'll tell you about that. Because for me, I never really had that with my parents. I just kind of like try to hide it as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So establishing that as the foundation first can allow that relationship to exist and like better communicate with each other about this kind of stuff, especially like sexually oriented. So.
And I think a big thing now is also like informing them of the biggest thing, like consent and stuff like that. Like that. Those are big topics now, just because of how many horrible things happen to people. And I definitely think giving them like there's those things where it's like sexual scripts where it's like, oh, this should happen after you do this should happen after you do this, but also figuring out, hey, let's make sure we check on if they're okay with you doing that, because obviously like you can make them for your first move, but don't, if it doesn't look like you're gonna get reciprocated back, let's pull back for a second,
Like head pushing?
Maybe not necessarily that, maybe more like that ugly look that guys do when they go in for a kiss kind of thing, so just kind of.
That's a great synonym for that.
The eye smolder before the kiss?
Yeah, it's kind of like. But yeah.
We all just did that. That was great.
That's.
But yeah.
Did you? Because like Connor, I didn't have that relationship where I was able to be open about my relationships with girls and stuff with my parents. And a lot of times, if I ever brought someone over, it would be an open door policy where if they ever went to my room, the door is open, and then my parents would clearly be sitting like within like 10 feet. Like they can hear what's happening in the room type of beat. What boundaries do you want to set? Because let's be honest, when hormones kick in, people get horny. And they are kids, and you don't want them to make a mistake that might cost them. Not saying that having a kid young is a bad thing, but it's a
life-changing experience.
It is a life-changing experience. What rules do you have set in place when it comes to bringing like a girl or a guy over?
I'm gonna be super like.
And it's okay to be like. It's very much. I understand the religion.
I want to see
the double standards on it.
I want to see your view. I want to see what you're doing.
I'm gonna have those double standards because how do I explain it? Like with girls and boys, obviously, for example, like my son, I'm gonna treat him differently than how I'm gonna treat my daughter, and I know that sounds like bad, but like I don't know, like you have that thing growing up where it's like, hey, that's my like. I feel like as an adult, I'm gonna be like, hey, that's my little girl. I don't want anyone to touch her. But if it's my son, I'd be like, hey, like. If you like this girl, I don't see why not.
Go get him.
I'm not saying like be a player or anything like that, but definitely like, hey, like, I was in your position as well. So it's just hard for me to like, cause I don't relate to like the girl. I guess you could say. I grew up in a house full of boys, so it's just like, I can't relate to it. But I might be hypocritical when it comes to like treating a boy and a girl differently, but. I don't know. I mean, the rules. I guess you could say like if I feel like for the girl, like he's lucky to even be at home. Like he's lucky to be there. like I don't know.
Like he's lucky to have even got the chance.
Yeah, to even meet me, bro. Like you shouldn't be here.
Okay, let's say that we've raised our kids right.
Yeah.
And sorry, Connor. Did you want to input on that?
I was just gonna say like, because for me, I want 3 kids and 2 of them are gonna be girls. That's what I'm aiming for.
Okay.
So it's kind of like
I'm gonna choose that. I'm playing.
Is this like a genetic gene pool?
Yeah. Look at the draw. I feel like I don't want to do the open door rule because that just means you don't trust your kid.
Yeah.
Like, and I know that like when they're 15 and 16 and they're stupid, and they want to like maybe they don't want to use a condom or something, and then potentially ruin their life, or not ruin their life, but challenge their life a good.
It's not ruining, but it makes it
significantly more difficult.
As someone who's had friends who had like pregnancies at like 17 and 16. Yeah. Hawaii, we fuck young. Yeah. Oh, that sounds really bad. Sorry.
What did you say?
Did not clip that.
7 is great. Number.
Okay. But I do. It is a big blockage.
Yeah.
Since you go from, you have to put your life aside for almost like a few months to a year or multiple years. So it is a lot.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I was just gonna say, for my son, I'm kind of on the same boat. Like, if you just tell me, like, who you're with and what you're gonna do, I mean, you obviously have to get that on that relationship level with your child.
That's just being a good parent at that point,
too. Then I'm fine with it. For the girl, man. I mean, for me, when I met Anna's dad for the first time, he sat me down and gave me a speech about, like, Christianity. Because at that time, I was an unbeliever. So he was saying to me, like, hey, you're dating a believer, right? And he was talking about how if you're going to marry this girl, like, you have to be equally yoked and stuff. So I had, like, a whole, very sentimental discussion with him that kind of ruined me emotionally. But it helped me grow, It helped me be where I am today. So I feel like I'd want to have that with the boy of whoever my daughter's going to take home. Bring over. Right? I want to be on that personal level because now, me and Anna's dad are really close.
That's good.
And really, like, we can get along together. I remember when we did, like, physical labor at his house. He had to do, like, some yard work.
You were there for hours, dude.
I was there for, like, 8 hours, and we had, like, a KFC chicken sandwich for lunch, and it was, like, the greatest experience ever. Not because the sandwich was amazing, and I was just super tired, but I just got to be there with her dad.
Yeah.
So,
I think I want to get
He helps with those hat projects as well, right?
Yeah. He helps me with, like, digital editing and stuff and graphic design, so.
That's cool.
I want to be on that relationship with the boy.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm aiming for 2 girls. That's 2 boys.
That's 2 boys, dang, yeah.
And
so.
Or it could be a boy and a girl.
Yeah, it could be a boy and a girl.
And then at that point, that gets to a whole other subject.
Yeah, that's a whole another thing, and I'm not sure if I'm ready to. I haven't even thought about that conversation yet, but I think I don't want to be like just like strict parents, because I know my parents were very like lenient on that kind of stuff. They didn't really care as much, and they were like very prideful of my privacy. So I'd want to be prideful of my kids' privacy. I don't want them to be hating me just because I'm snooping around or trying to ask every single moment about what they're doing and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. Is I think also, like, for example, if I'm bringing, this is gonna be later in the future, is when you obviously, like, when your daughter or son is talking to someone, like, there's a possibility that could be your future, like, in-law. Like, that's another like somebody you take in, another son, another daughter, and I think I want to develop that relationship where, hey, I can sit down with them and talk to, like, this is, like, how like, I want her to be treated well, and, like, if you're not able to fulfill that, maybe it's best for you not to be together. So
and I want to instill that belief on my kids as well, is that you're dating to marry, you're not dating to date.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can experiment in, like, your growing up years, like 8th grade and high school, but, once you start getting those later stages, like high school and then college and stuff, like, you're dating to find a mate, because that's what, I mean, me and Anna did, and we find ourselves thinking about our future a lot less, just because we're so focused on that now, and we know that 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now,
you're still gonna be together.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere. So I feel like that's more important than, like, trying to get a fling with some girl or some guy.
Yeah.
So that's one belief I will instill in my kids is
date to marry.
Date to marry. Yeah, I feel like that's a big thing right now too. Is that's not what's being taught right now. Is like that, like, I guess you'd say, like, that hookup culture. Yeah, and it's obviously, like, it's tough for guys because I don't really know the experience of girls just because I don't, I'm not a girl. So it's for guys, it's like growing up, it was like, hey, like, this many girls, I've messed with her, blah blah blah, and it's like, you're like, maybe in high school you're cool, but dude, like, if anything, that just shows that you're not ready for anything serious.
You lack the ability to commit.
Yeah, and it's like that's not. At a certain point, it's almost like you feel sad for that person because they're not able to do that, and I think that's why I'm happy to where I'm at right now, is because I was taught, like, maybe, like, there are mistakes I've done before, but there's definitely, like, if I'm gonna be with someone, I want to be with them 100% because, I mean, there's no other way. I'm not gonna give 50%, and if I am, then I don't want to be in that relationship anymore. Yeah. So, I think that's a big thing right now is especially in college. I mean, obviously everyone's there and just have fun, but I feel like that hookup culture thing is just it's really bad for, people right now, especially because that's also going to be taught to, kids younger than us. I mean,
I think it's a plague to our society.
Definitely.
So.
No, I do agree with the hookup culture thing, but I'd like to loop back to the I was going to say kids subject. That's bad.
Yeah.
But and so I did like you guys' feedback on that subject. That is something that my father and I have talked about recently. I am curious, because this is something that my father and I talked about as well, as my cousin is a they, them now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're amazing. I love G. They do amazing tattoo art work and stuff, but you guys are both, I would say now, especially you now, devout Christians. Would that be the...
Yeah. I guess you say so.
And so, and we've been, believe that Christianity at times, that being gay is a sin, or, and so on and so forth. What would you do in your household if your son or daughter came out to you as gay? Do you believe that it should, at that point, it should have never been a subject because they should be comfortable enough where it's like, hey, I don't give a fuck, go for you? Or is that something that might be a little more difficult for you to grasp?
I mean, that is one thing. Is I would say I am Catholic. I'm devout. I feel like I try my best to be that type of person, but not everything that the Bible says is something I agree. I mean, for example, there are devout Christians out there who have tattoos, and I mean, at one point, it says in the Bible, tattoos is a sin. Marking your body is a sin. There's certain things where it's I feel like, but it's tough to always take everything from a book written 2,000 years ago in the same context as right now, because we're adapting, and we're totally different people than people 2,000 years ago. So it's just hard to, always relate to that. And for example, if my kid came out as, either transgender or just came out as lesbian or gay, I wouldn't say I'd be disappointed. I just, it's obviously something I have to adjust because I've never dealt with that besides maybe one of my uncles. But I'm not going to treat them any differently, or I'm not going to love them any less. It's just, now I gotta, learn more about something that I don't know, and if anything, I can learn that from them as well.
Yeah. I feel like it's just, for me, it would be a reflection of how I raised my kid.
If they're comfortable enough to do that, to tell you, then I feel like you did a good job.
And if your son came up with, hey, I'll be slinging dicks.
Maybe not exactly that term, but just hey.
I honestly think I'd dap them up.
For me personally, I don't want that, and I feel comfortable saying that. But if it did happen, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I would still treat them, as is. I mean, I have 2 uncles that are gay. Mm-hmm. Who are also filthy rich.
They're cool as fuck, though.
They're cool as fuck, though. They're not
I was there for Thanksgiving, and they're just cool.
They're cool. They're just cool gay people. They don't. I don't. Okay.
No, I understand what you mean. It's I had a discussion with my cousin about this, G, and they're very much it's very good to be prideful about being your sexuality and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But your sexuality is not your full personality.
It's not your full identity.
It is not your...
There's other things that make up your personality and your identity. So.
Your sexuality is just an aspect of you. Exactly. That is what your sexual preference is. It's not define you as a whole person.
Yeah, because you're not, hey, I'm this person, the gay person. No, I'm this person who's really good at this, really good at this, really good at this, and I happen to be gay. That's really the biggest...
It's just, that's your sexuality, that's your preference when it comes to dating. That does not define you when it comes to the workplace or who you are or how you treat people. Mm-hmm. And so I do get what you were going at to, just the way you're phrasing, maybe a little wordy. But I do understand what you're saying. There. I do understand what you're saying, Connor. It is, that is just your sexuality. It is not their personality. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest thing. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, I think that's
I think we wrap it up there.
Good spot to end it on. I mean, I think that was a pretty solid first podcast. I think that was great. Obviously we started off a little bit more surface level and got to a little bit deeper subjects, but
it was good.
I liked it. I enjoyed that. Hopefully you guys,
enjoyed.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for the first episode of JCPennyless. Yeah, we'll go with that for now. All right. I'll see y'all.